Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to take you on like a journey through time
Okay.
to explore this really surprising link between like the ancient philosophy of Aristotle
Oh, wow.
and the cutting-edge world of AI.
Okay.
Get this.
Yeah.
We're going to uncover how Aristotle's ideas on reasoning and knowledge actually foreshadow modern AI.
Wow.
We'll be using a fascinating academic paper
Okay.
as our guide.
Cool.
Aristotle's original idea for and against logic in the era of AI.
That sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It is incredible how much Aristotle's work resonates with the challenges that, AI researchers are tackling today.
Right.
He was grappling with, the very nature of reasoning centuries before the first computer even existed.
It's mind-blowing, right?
Right.
For example, Aristotle had this radical idea that human reasoning could be studied as like a system with universal patterns. This idea laid the groundwork for AI because it suggests that thinking can be broken down into logical processes.
Interesting. And what's fascinating is that the paper actually highlights passages where Aristotle emphasizes how original this idea was.
Wow.
He literally couldn't find anyone else who had attempted to systematize reasoning before him.
So he was the first.
Yeah.
Aristotle was way ahead of his time.
Definitely.
And his ideas get even more relevant when we look at his concept of demonstrative science.
Yeah, demonstrative science is all about building knowledge upon absolute rock-solid premises, kind of like a mathematical proof.
Okay.
You start with undeniable truths and arrive at irrefutable conclusions.
Right.
This is still foundational to how science works today.
Think about it. Math is the language of certainty, right?
Yeah.
We use it to describe the laws of physics, model complex systems, and build everything from bridges to spaceships.
Right.
But here's the catch.
Okay.
Aristotle himself acknowledged that there's another type of reasoning where things are a lot less certain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He recognized that in many real-world scenarios, the premises we're working with are not absolute. Our conclusions are open to change as we gather more information.
So how did early AI researchers grapple with this? They started by trying to model intelligence using classical logic, which is very much rooted in that idea of demonstrative science, clear-cut black and white reasoning.
Yeah.
But it turns out classical logic couldn't handle the nuances and uncertainties of human common sense.
Right, think about it.
Yeah.
Our brains don't work like calculators.
Yeah.
We constantly update our understanding based on new information, new
Right.
experiences.
Right.
AI needed a way to deal with that messiness of real-world reasoning.
So they hit a roadblock,
Yeah.
and that's where non-monotonic logics come in.
Okay.
These systems try to capture the fact that our conclusions can evolve as we learn more.
It was a step in the right direction,
Okay.
but researchers still struggled to reconcile this flexibility with the inherent human desire for certainty. It was like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Wow, so AI needed like a new approach.
Yeah.
And that's when things take a fascinating turn,
Okay.
because the AI community realized that argumentation might be a better model for how our brains work.
Oh.
You know, kind of back and forth debate where different ideas are weighed against each other.
That's interesting. And wouldn't you know, this shift to argumentation-based AI in the 1990s directly connects back to Aristotle's work on dialectic argument.
Really?
It's like he predicted the future of AI research.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
You're saying the key to human-like AI might be arguments.
Well,
But aren't arguments inherently messy and unpredictable? How can we build reliable systems based on that?
that's the beauty of it.
Okay.
The paper provides an example of how argumentation can model reasoning about actions and change.
Okay.
Let's say you have a light switch.
Uh-huh.
You know the light is off and someone flips the switch.
Yeah.
You would naturally expect the light to turn on, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a simple cause and effect.
But I have a feeling there's a twist coming.
Go away. No, what if you learn there's a power outage? Your conclusion about the light turning on immediately changes, even though the action of flipping the switch remained the same. Argumentation allows AI to capture this kind of dynamic, ever-evolving reasoning.
So it's like AI is constantly weighing different pieces of evidence and adjusting its conclusions as new information comes in.
Exactly.
Wow.
And what's even more exciting is that large language models, those incredibly powerful AI systems we hear so much about,
Right?
have the potential to make argumentation a practical reality for AI.
Okay.
The paper describes how LLMs can essentially act as the engineering mathematics for argumentation theory.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So we could see AI systems that actually debate, reason, and adapt their understanding,
Yeah.
just like humans do.
Uh-huh.
What are the real-world applications of that?
The possibilities are endless.
Wow.
Imagine AI lawyers, AI scientists, or even AI systems that can help us make better decisions by presenting and debating different perspectives.
Okay, my mind is officially blown. So we've seen how Aristotle's insights into reasoning are already shaping AI,
Right.
but his ideas on ethics are equally relevant to this discussion, right?
Absolutely. And that's where things get really interesting.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear more about this.
That's really cool.
Okay, so stay tuned. We'll unpack all of that right after.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
Awesome.
Okay, welcome back to the deep dive. Before the break, we were talking about how Aristotle's ideas on reasoning are shaping the world of AI. But there's another layer to this story, his thoughts on ethics. What I find fascinating is that Aristotle didn't see ethics as this separate abstract field. He viewed it as a practical science, just like physics or biology.
That's a key insight.
Oh,
Aristotle recognized that ethics deals with messy real-world problems where there isn't always like a clear-cut right answer. He understood that navigating the complexities of human life requires more than just logic and reasoning.
so it's not just about what's logically correct, but about what's good, and
Yeah.
just even when things are uncertain.
Exactly. And this is incredibly relevant to AI development today. As we build AI systems that operate in the real world, we need to consider the ethical implications of their actions. It's not enough for an AI to simply follow a set of rules. It needs to be able to make judgments and decisions that align with human values.
So how do we translate Aristotle's ideas about practical ethics into something that can guide AI development?
Well, one of his key concepts is the idea of leniency in justice. Aristotle recognized that laws like strict logical rules can't always anticipate every real-world situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to make exceptions or adjustments to achieve a truly just outcome.
So Aristotle is saying even the best rules have exceptions. That makes me think about how AI needs to be flexible, not just follow strict programming. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. If we want to create AI that can make ethically sound decisions in the real world, we need to move beyond rigid rule-based systems. We need to develop AI that can understand context, weigh different considerations, and make nuanced judgments based on the specific circumstances.
It's like giving AI a moral compass that's able to adapt to different situations rather than just a set of rigid do's and don'ts.
Exactly. And this is where Aristotle's concept of defeasible reasoning comes in. He recognized that our conclusions, even in matters of ethics, should be open to revision as new information emerges.
It's like life is constantly throwing curveballs at us, and we need to be able to adjust our thinking accordingly.
Precisely. And this ability to adapt to new information is something we need to build into AI systems if we want them to truly understand and operate effectively in our complex world.
So how did Aristotle propose that we deal with this kind of messy reasoning, where certainty isn't always attainable?
Well, he emphasized the importance of what he called hos epitopolou statements. These are premises that hold true for the most part, but can have exceptions. It's about acknowledging that there are gray areas, that things aren't always black and white.
It's like trying to make sense of the internet. There's so much information out there, and it's not always reliable. How can AI possibly navigate that kind of complexity?
That's a great question, and it brings us back to Aristotle's work on dialectic argument. Remember, this is all about engaging in reasoned debate, considering different perspectives, and arriving at the best possible conclusion, even when absolute certainty isn't achievable.
So the same type of argumentation we discussed earlier in relation to AI is also relevant to this idea of defeasible reasoning. It seems like argumentation is a pretty important concept for Aristotle.
It really is. And what's fascinating is that modern AI research has independently arrived at a very similar conclusion. Argumentation-based AI has emerged as a powerful approach to modeling human-like reasoning, especially when dealing with uncertainty and incomplete information.
It's incredible to think that Aristotle was already exploring these ideas over 2,000 years ago. His ideas seem so relevant to the challenges we face today.
They really do, and his work offers valuable insights into how we can develop AI that's not just intelligent, but also wise and ethical. One key takeaway is that we need to move away from the idea of AI as a perfect, infallible system that always gives the right answer.
That makes sense. Humans aren't infallible, so why should we expect AI to be?
Exactly. We need to embrace the fact that AI, like human intelligence, will involve a degree of uncertainty, a capacity for error, and a constant need for learning and adaptation.
So how do we actually build AI systems that can embody this kind of flexibility and wisdom?
That's where things get really interesting from a computational perspective.
Yeah.
Remember how we talked about Aristotle's view of ethics as a practical science? Well, he understood that ethical decision-making is inherently a multi-criteria problem. It's not about optimizing for a single value or goal, but rather about balancing a complex web of competing considerations.
So it's not just about being right or wrong, but about finding the best possible solution in a complex and often ambiguous situation.
Exactly, and this insight is crucial for developing AI that can make ethical decisions in a human-centric way. We can't silly program AI to maximize a single value like efficiency or profit. We need to give it the capacity to weigh different values, understand context, and make nuanced judgments based on the specific circumstances.
It sounds like a daunting challenge. How can we possibly build AI systems that can navigate this kind of ethical complexity?
Well, that's where Aristotle's emphasis on holistic solutions becomes incredibly relevant. He recognized that finding the best course of action often requires considering the problem from multiple angles, weighing different values, and seeking a balance that takes into account the wider context.
So it's about looking at the big picture, not just focusing on a single aspect of the problem.
Precisely. And this idea of holistic solutions aligns perfectly with the emerging field of dialectic science that we touched on earlier. Dialectic science moves away from the traditional scientific focus on finding a single absolute right answer. Instead, it embraces the complexity of real-world problems and seeks solutions that balance multiple criteria, adapt to changing circumstances, and promote human well-being in a sustainable way.
It sounds like dialectic science is taking a page from Aristotle's playbook, recognizing the limitations of rigid rules, and embracing a more flexible and adaptable approach to problem solving.
Exactly, and this is a paradigm shift that has profound implications for the development of AI. Instead of trying to build AI that's perfect according to some narrow set of criteria, dialectic science encourages us to think about AI as a partner in navigating the complexities of human existence.
So it's not about replacing human judgment with AI, but rather about using AI to enhance our ability to make wise and ethical decisions.
Precisely, and this is where the idea of habitual learning becomes crucial. Aristotle emphasized that developing ethical wisdom is an ongoing process, a matter of continuously refining our understanding and adapting to new situations. It's not a one-time achievement, but rather a lifelong pursuit.
So how does this idea of habitual learning apply to AI development?
It suggests that we shouldn't expect to build perfectly ethical AI from the get-go. Instead, we need to focus on creating AI systems that can learn from experience, adapt to new information, and continuously refine their understanding of ethical considerations. It's about building AI that can grow alongside us, becoming more ethically sophisticated over time.
It's like giving AI the capacity to develop its own moral wisdom through experience, just as humans do. That's pretty remarkable.
It is, isn't it? And this aligns perfectly with the capabilities of modern AI technologies like machine learning and LLMs. These systems are designed to learn from data, adapt to new information, and continuously improve their performance over time.
It sounds like a promising approach to building AI that's not just intelligent, but also ethically aligned with human values. But there's still the question of how we ensure that this kind of AI actually operates in a trustworthy and transparent way.
You're absolutely right, and that's where explainability becomes crucial. If we want to build trust in AI systems, we need to be able to understand how they're making decisions. It's not enough for an AI to simply give us an answer. We need to know why it arrived at that conclusion.
So it's about giving AI a voice, allowing it to explain its reasoning so that we can understand and potentially challenge its decisions.
Exactly, and this emphasis on explainability aligns beautifully with Aristotle's focus on contestable arguments and dialectic argument. Remember, he believed that the best way to arrive at the truth was through reasoned debate, where different perspectives could be presented and challenged.
It's like having a conversation with the AI where we can engage in a back-and-forth exchange to understand its thinking and ensure that it's making decisions that align with our values.
Precisely. And this kind of dialogue is essential for building trust and accountability in AI systems. We need to be able to ask AI why and get a clear, understandable explanation that we can evaluate and potentially challenge.
It's about making sure that AI isn't a black box, but rather a transparent and accountable partner in navigating the complexities of our world.
Exactly. And this brings us back to a point we raised earlier, the potential for large language models, LLMs, to act as a kind of engineering mathematics for argumentation theory.
Remind me how that works again.
Well, LLMs are incredibly powerful at processing and generating language. And remember, argumentation is all about using language to present evidence, make claims, and build a case for a particular conclusion.
So LLMs could help us translate the abstract ideas of argumentation theory into practical AI systems that can reason, debate, and explain their decisions in a way that we can understand.
Exactly. LLMs have the potential to bridge the gap between the theoretical foundations of argumentation and the real-world applications of AI.
It's like giving AI the linguistic tools it needs to engage in a meaningful dialogue with us about ethical considerations. This whole conversation has been mind-blowing. Who knew that a philosopher from over 2,000 years ago would have so much to say about the future of AI?
It is remarkable how Aristotle's insights continue to resonate today. His ideas challenge us to think differently about intelligence, to embrace uncertainty and complexity, and to prioritize human well-being as we develop increasingly powerful AI systems.
Absolutely. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder. This one comes straight from the source material.
The paper highlights a quote from Alan Turing, a pioneer of modern computing, who said, "If a machine is expected to be infallible, it cannot also be intelligent."
Wow, that's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
It suggests that we need to embrace the inherent uncertainty and complexity of intelligence if we want to build a truly intelligent AI. But what does it mean for AI to be infallible, and how does that relate to Aristotle's ideas?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll explore further in the last part of our deep dive. We'll delve into the nuances of Turing's statement and see how it connects to Aristotle's concept of dialectic science, the limitations of absolute rationality, and the need for a more flexible and adaptable approach to AI development.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're wrapping up our exploration of Aristotle and AI. And before we left off, we were talking about this pretty provocative quote from Alan Turing.
Right. He said, if a machine is expected to be infallible, it cannot also be intelligent.
So let's unpack that. What did Turing mean by infallible, and how does it connect back to Aristotle's ideas?
Well, Turing was a visionary, right? He really helped lay the foundation for modern computing. And what's fascinating is that he understood that true intelligence isn't about, like, being perfect or always getting the right answer. It's about the ability to learn and adapt and even make mistakes along the way.
That's really interesting because we usually associate intelligence with being right, having all the answers. But you're saying Turing saw it differently.
Exactly. He realized that if we expect a machine to be infallible, to never make a mistake, we're actually like limiting its capacity for intelligence. We're basically turning it into a glorified calculator,
Okay.
just blindly following a set of pre-programmed rules.
So true intelligence requires a certain level of flexibility, the ability to grapple with uncertainty, and learn from mistakes.
Precisely. And this is where we see a beautiful connection back to Aristotle's ideas. Remember how we talked about how he distinguished between demonstrative science, which aims for absolute certainty, and practical science like ethics, where we have to deal with these messy multi-criteria problems.
Right. And in those real-world situations, we often have to weigh different values, make judgments, and be open to revising our conclusions as new information emerges.
Exactly. And this is where Turing's insight about infallibility becomes so important for AI development. If we try to build AI systems that are infallible, that never make mistakes, we're essentially hindering their ability to achieve true intelligence.
It's like we're putting them in a box, preventing them from exploring the full potential of their intelligence. So how do we avoid that trap? How do we build AI that can handle that messiness, that uncertainty, and still make wise decisions?
Well, this is where Aristotle's concept of dialectic science comes into play.
Okay.
It's about acknowledging the limitations of absolute rationality and embracing the complexity of real-world problem solving. Remember how we talked about finding balance, considering multiple perspectives, and adapting to new information?
Right. And it sounds like dialectic science is also about letting go of that pursuit of perfection and embracing a more nuanced and adaptable approach to problem solving.
Exactly. And that shift in thinking is crucial as we develop increasingly powerful AI systems. Instead of trying to create AI that's perfect according to some rigid set of criteria, we should view AI as a partner in navigating the complexities of human existence, a partner that can learn and adapt alongside us.
So it's not about replacing human judgment with AI, but rather about using AI to enhance our own ability to make wise and ethical decisions.
Precisely, and this is where Aristotle's emphasis on habitual learning becomes incredibly relevant. He understood that developing ethical wisdom is an ongoing process. It's about continuously refining our understanding and adapting to new situations.
So how does this idea of habitual learning apply to AI?
It means we shouldn't expect to create perfectly ethical AI right out of the gate. Instead, we're going to focus on building AI systems that can learn from experience, adapt to new information, and continuously refine their understanding of ethical considerations.
It's like giving AI the capacity to develop its own moral compass through experience, just as humans do.
Exactly, and the good news is we have the tools to do this. Modern AI technologies like machine learning and LLMs are designed to learn from data, adapt to new patterns, and continuously improve their performance over time.
So we have the technology, but it sounds like the real challenge is embedding those values of flexibility, adaptation, and continuous learning into the very fabric of AI.
You hit the nail on the head. It's not enough to just have the algorithms we need to be mindful of the values and principles that guide AI development and ensure that those values are aligned with human well-being.
And that brings us back to the importance of explainability, right? If we want to trust these AI systems, we need to understand how they're making decisions.
Absolutely. We need to be able to ask AI why and get a clear, understandable answer. This transparency is crucial for building trust and accountability.
It's like having a conversation with the AI, where we can understand its reasoning and potentially challenge its conclusions if they don't align with our values. This has been an incredible deep dive. It's amazing how Aristotle's insights from over 2,000 years ago are so relevant to the future of AI.
It really highlights the enduring power of his ideas. He grappled with the very essence of reasoning ethics, and the pursuit of knowledge and his insights continue to offer valuable guidance as we navigate the complexities of artificial intelligence.
So as we wrap up, what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to ponder?
I think the most important lesson from Aristotle is that true intelligence, whether human or artificial, is not about being infallible. It's about embracing uncertainty, adapting to change, and continuously seeking wisdom as we venture further into the world of AI. Let's remember Aristotle's call for balanced adaptability and a deep respect for human values.
That's a great point to end on. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll see you next time as we explore more fascinating connections and uncover hidden insights together.